Are you prepared to get destroyed? Cause it's another devlog, all the gaming deving journey that you didn't ask for in another episode of Jail Tactics Devlog. Make sure that you're gripping the edge of your seat because that's the only part you'll need.
Hey guys, I know I've been covering some pretty heavy concepts and possibly contaminating you all with melted brain syndrome, so this vlog is going to be nice and simple. But first, major announcement, my game is actually playable. Head over to itch.io and you can play it on your browser. I've got it set up to play the battle with the 3 enemies that I have in the game so far. Then it goes to a cutscene where you can pick one of them to join your team and loops back to the fight again. There's a link in the description if you want to give it a go. Now that I have that all out, I can do iterative deliverables and put out a new build as part of my new sprints. As I prepare for releasing this prototype last week, I had to finish up a huge list of things that I had semi-finished, so I'm just going to power through this list for you now. Okay, first off is menus, and more menus. I made the start menu art a while back, but I have now implemented it. It's just a simple start and options. The options will pop up the same as the menu as if you hit pause in the game. Pretty basic, but I think it's got all the important parts here. Gameplay, I've got the full screen, the resolution, quality, language, and key bindings. The language and key bindings aren't implemented yet. I still have to add the special characters to the font, and I don't even know how to keybind yet, but the audio is done, and it's exactly as you expected. In battle, I have the new ability control menu. It shows you your available abilities, their charge, keyboard shortcuts to select them, your passives, short description, and some stats. As you flip through everyone in the battle, you can see that it shows the character's abilities. This is something that you'll be able to see for allies, but enemies, you'll have to unlock this info by imprisoning a certain number of this type. There is a death menu as well. That is a simple fade to black, and the last menu I made was the cutscene where you can choose your first robot ally. Or prisoner, or, whatever you want to call them. You can pick between the 3 of them that I have in the game so far. You get some stats, the description of each. So how these menus work is that they are all canvas objects that I enable and disable at different times. Since I'm managing my own scenes, I have the scene manager here that loads everything up at certain points. You can see all I do is set the main menu object to active and it'll appear. That's because they're simply an inactive object sitting there, so if I want to work on them, I do the same thing in Unity, just turn on the object and they appear. There is some animations in them, but other than that it's pretty basic stuff. So let's move on to the cutscenes I made. So a while ago I made world text. These are actually textures in the game and not on a canvas. These are for when you have control over the player, so you can start and he asks for your help here. Once you defeat all the robots in the area, it actually fades to a scene that I made where he explains that he would salvage one of the robots and you can get to select one. This is all done in the scene called ChooseBot. You can see here that I push the camera over a bit and change everyone's position around and create some scene sprites. These are just sprites that kill themselves once the scenes change. I load the dialogue and then have a callback when it's done where I can continue the scene. And this is the same with all my scenes. They actually inherit from an abstract class that makes them have this functionality. Once the scene is done, I loop the process, but you now have the robot that you chose as an ally. Which brings me into the ally work that I did. They can all follow you now with their various walk types and of course enter battle with you. They all have a unique ability. The boxer can continue moving after the attacks, the can explodes after death, dealing area damage, and the spider has a ranged attack. The ranged attack ended up taking much longer than I thought. I was going to make them just part of the sprite sheet, but that does not really work with vertical angles, so I ended up having to make a projectile object that plays an animation. This was a little tricky to do. I had to whip out ye old protractor and do some geometry, but I think I've got it working pretty good now. And so that's the quick rundown of all the things I had to quickly throw together before I released it to itch. So with that done, you know what time it is. Quick tip with chillin' time. This week it is the menu lock in Unity that we're going to be covering. If you have never noticed this little lock symbol above your menus, then you are missing out. So, as you click around Unity, it shows you the selected items relevant stuff over here in the inspector, but sometimes you need 2 items selected. So, if you have an object that you're copying over components or values, you have to keep clicking between the 2 objects. This lock actually stops that, so you can open a second object window and lock it, then freely select the second object and do your copying. You can even have them side by side. What I like to do is always have my game manager locked so that I can just tab over and mess around with all the various options for my game. So now it's time for Community Spotlight, and this week we are doing Paypercutts. He's an Australian dev making Swooping Justice, a game about a bird called a magpie that apparently attacks people, because you can't even be a bird in Australia without being some sort of threat to humans. He is incredibly supportive to devs in the community and criminally underviewed. I would watch his videos for the accent alone. So go show his channel some love, and he's also very active on Twitter. So next time I'll be working on the shader I'm using for the glow of their eyes to also implement shadows, hopefully, if I can get that working, and talking about how I'm using scriptable objects for the abilities and stats. So make sure to subscribe to catch that vid, and while you're down there, hit the like, tell me how little you will play my prototype in the comments below, and don't forget to wishlist the game on Steam. Have a great day, guys.